feel comfortable making adjustments and so forth. As I said, I've trained myself on this equipment, so I know that a seat length of 5 or a vertical of 5 fits me really well. Whoever designed the stuff for Life Fitness did a very, very good job, okay? It's not always, but it's a usually. If you find an adjustment for somebody on shoulder press, it usually goes with them through the rest of the gear, through the exercise line. And also you have some rollers here too to consider. You want the roller right about at the top of their shoelaces, okay? And I know I'm going slow, but anybody ever considered that you just hop on a gear and stuff without thinking about it? You want to be in good trim with the gear so you can do what? Make the most of, maximize the movement, correct. So of course we're going to kick out. Kind of tells it that's extension, right? Leg extension, okay? Quadriceps would be our prime movers. We all get that. And this would be kind of an isolation movement because we're not supporting the body column with it. We're just doing our extension as such, okay? So, probably we're operating out of the sagittal plane. Okay, some of these things aren't so clear cut, especially when you get into multi-plane movements or compound movements. But again, just trying to help you think through it.
Why is it the sagittal plane versus the frontal plane?
Because the frontal plane, if you remember elevation and depression, that's one way of remembering what movements are in it. But sometimes, remember the frontal plane also includes the dorsal surface, even though it says the frontal plane. I don't know the answer to it, just I had to wrap my head around it and accept it. So when you go back, like I said, those pages, I think it's 16 through 21, and that one graph, have a look at those things though, and it'll help through memorization. The main thing is, I want you to know if you're dealing with flexion and extension, okay? So flexion, how I remember it, you flex your muscles. So usually if somebody's flexing their muscles, they're doing something of a front double bicep, whatever. Flexion, extension, this way, okay? Likewise, if we're flexion here with the bicep, shortening, our leg bicep would also what? Direct to flexion, right? Okay, so a leg curl, same as an arm curl, is flexion. Okay, tricep extension would be the same as a leg extension. Thinking about it now in those terms? Yeah, okay. Lat pull down, we all know what that does, right? Well, you can do a lot of different things on a lat pull down. When we're coaching somebody on this, the seat doesn't move here. The only adjustment would be here for the rollers to keep yourself contained in. Sometimes, if they feel sandwiched in, you can bring it up a little bit and they can come up on their toes. I don't know why it is, but Life Fitness, these are add-on weights. If people have these all different kinds of gyms and different weights. These ones happen to be 7.5 pounds. I would prefer they'd be 5, but so how much does that weigh? 7.5. But anyways, having said that, lat pull down is a frequently abused machine, okay? And I know you work out at the B. So anyways, having said that, if I'm doing a lat pull down, I'm trying to recruit the long muscles of my back, correct? That's what I think. Probably somebody's doing a lat pull down, they're trying to recruit the latissimus, and to a certain degree the longissimus as well. If somebody doesn't have rotational problems in their shoulders, my preference is to lower the bar behind the head. The reason being is, if I lower the bar behind my head, I'm recruiting more percentage of my lats and less of the synergistic bi. That makes sense? Remember, back and bis are like peanut butter and jelly. They're well trained to each other. Now, if somebody does have some shoulder pain or rotational problems, yeah, they can bring the bar across the front to the top of the pec. Is this. Now, you all know what I'm going to do next, right? Here's what becomes inefficient. Anybody seen this?
Uh-huh.
The pendulum, hey, look at how much weight I'm doing. If they'll give me a minute, I'll say, okay, you're doing a lot of weight. I'll invite them over to a pull-up bar, or pull-up stand, pull-up bar, and here, do some pull-ups with me. They can't do it. Okay, so, again, I'm not here to poo-poo anybody, but let's be intelligent in what we do. So, the pendulous motion is then almost a mixture between lat and bi and using inertia to supplement the lift. That's all I can tell you. Who does pull downs in here? Everybody do pull downs? Behind the head or in front of the head?
Behind.
Front? Okay, behind? Both? Good. And I'm fine with either, but be intelligent in your reason why you're doing it. Like I said, I'm a purist. If I'm trying to isolate the long muscles of my back and recruit them, behind the head will do a better, more efficient job of doing that. Okay? And then a pull up far more than a pull down will further optimize that movement.
I just felt like going behind the back made sure I did not do the yanking thing. If I do it behind the back, then I
Behind
have
the
less
head?
of a chance of doing the yanking like you come down the front. Because sometimes I'll.
Yeah, I think what turned me around was just when I started doing pull-ups rather than pull-downs. It's rare that I use the lat pull-down anymore to train back, but of course you see straps here and all the rest of it. You got a dynamite platform to train tries. Okay, as long as you keep your elbows tucked at the side, okay, as I'm doing here. You've got a beautiful tricep push down as well. Okay, some of the most versatile gear in the gym are your multi-stage cable. And the B has a beautiful one. They have 4 in a cube. There's not a body part you can't train with a cable configuration. And they're relatively cheap too, but space is the issue. They don't always have space, okay? So, next, okay, clearly the names of these things are giving you a heads up as to what's being trained here, no doubt. The back extension has the erector spinae and the glutes mentioned. Now, this is the least useful piece of gear that we have in the gym. It is. I didn't want to get it, but the powers to be, I got outvoted. There's some other things I would have liked more. So, but anyways, on a back extension, with a configuration like this, what you have to do is encourage the user to not try to develop thrust by pushing off with their quads. So I tell them, if you've ever tried to push a heavy load like a car that's been stalled and put your back to the trunk and push, that's not what you want to feel here, okay? Everybody gets that. And another thing though with the ergonomics of the machine is that Life Fitness stuff is awesome, but if you don't get your glutes all the way to the back of the seat here, you're going to be losing the initiative. And somebody will say, I'm going to fall backwards. No, you're not. Come back as far as you can, but I want you to come as far forward as well without clanging the weight stack into one another. Okay? And back, like I said, clearly it's a back extension. You're recruiting the erector spinae. You could argue a little bit of the multifidus too. What's much better is doing a back extension without the machine. But again, you know, it's not a perfect world. There's other things that I would preferred. So, does everybody know what I mean by, let's take a quick diversion here. My favorite low back exercise, instead of there,